on the eve of Christmas must have passed for a Christmas gift. Yet, the question on the lips of many is, what about Ibrahim el-Zakzaki and his wife Zinat? What happens to them? What about other Nigerians said to be illegally held in detention, like Agba Jalingo, a journalist held for criticizing the Cross River State government? Do these also not deserve the same treatment as Dasuki and Shure? It is my pleasure to welcome you to the last edition of Voice of Liberation for the year 2019 on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan, transmitting from the Oyo State Pensioners House, fondly called Africa's Model. My name is PIUS NSABE, your host on the program. On the program today, we will look at some major issues that made the round in the course of the week. Thereafter, we will go down to some issues bordering on the state of the nation. And who else could better fit into the discourse on the state of the nation than a former ambassador and, of course, a former Minister of Justice, Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General in Oyo State. When we come back from this break, we will continue with the program. Please do stay tuned. Welcome back on Voice of Liberation on your darling station, Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. We are going to start, as always, with some labor stories that made the round in the course of the week. The National Pension Commission, PENCOM, says contributors to the micro pension plan are now 30,000 7 months after it was launched. The acting director, PENCOM, Aisha Umar Daher, said this in an exclusive interview with Daily Trust. The micro pension plan was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari in March 2019. It is aimed at extending pension coverage to the self-employed and persons working in the informal sector to drive financial inclusion and allow the target population to have a sustainable old age income after their retirement. The PENCOM boss further said the performance of the commission during the year has been great. The Nigeria Union of Pensioners, Oyo State Council, felicitated Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, who marked his 52nd birthday on December 25. The congratulatory message was contained in a statement by the union's acting chairman, Alhaji Isiaka Abolade, and its executive secretary, Comrade Olusegun Abatan. In the statement, the union, while thanking the governor for touching the lives of pensioners in the state, prayed for God's guidance on him in the continuous discharge of his duties to the state and his immediate family. The union also prayed God to continue to grant him good health and a fulfilled life. Governor Makinde was born on December 25, 1967 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) says workers and pensioners deserve the very best of care and welfare during the Yuletide, as they are the ones that turn the wheel that creates wealth. The NLC president, Mr. Ayuba Waba, stated this in Abuja in a Christmas message to workers, pensioners, and Nigerians. According to him, the leadership of the NLC will continue to work hard to ensure that workers and pensioners recoup a measure of the joy that they invest in others. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Labour Congress has said there is no going back on the December 29 ultimatum given to governors on the consequential adjustment of the 30,000 naira new minimum wage. The president of the NLC, Ayuba Waba, in a statement on Tuesday, December 24, said states still negotiating need to wrap up before the end of the year or expect what he described as a not too friendly New Year gift. Ayuba said he was hopeful Nigerians would experience a positive turnaround in the coming year. He, however, said the governors have been engaging with the respective branches of the NLC to meet up with the deadline. And still on that, report says barely 3 days to the deadline given by the Nigeria Labour Congress to states to conclude negotiations on the implementation of the 30,000 naira new minimum wage, some state governors have started a last-minute rush to meet the deadline date of the labor union. The NLC, in a communique issued at the end of its meeting with the State Council chairman on December 12, had said it would not be able to guarantee industrial peace and harmony in states that failed to conclude negotiations and begin payment of the new minimum wage by December 31. As of the said date, the NLC noted that while states like Kaduna, Lagos, Kebbi, and Adamawa had begun payment, some like Kano, Bayelsa, Abia, and about 9 others had constituted negotiating committees. It added that others like Rivers, Ogun, Delta, Plateau, Gombe, and about 14 others had yet to set up negotiating committees. And we now take a trip outside the shores of Nigeria as France's national strike over pension reform enters its 4th week. Trains were cancelled during the week and running on reduced schedules across much of the country. The government had called for a pause during the holiday season, but instead, the strike entered its 22nd consecutive day on Thursday. Roughly 50% of high-speed regional trains were operating on Thursday, and an improvement from earlier this week when just 20% were operating. Transportation in Paris, meanwhile, continued to be heavily disrupted. 4 Paris metro lines were closed, and at least 10 metro lines were running on reduced schedules as of Thursday, December 26. The unions are opposed in varying degrees to President Emmanuel Macron's government's retirement reform plan, which include raising the retirement age from 62 to 64 and moving from a system with 42 special pension plans to a universal point-based single system. That's as far as we can take on some of the issues revolving around labor and, of course, pension within and across the country. It's on this note I'd like to welcome my guests on the program this morning. And of course, if you have been a regular follower of Voice of Liberation, you know that in the first segment of the program, we look at some major issues that made the round in the course of the week. And of course, we talk about them, we make commentaries on them. This morning, I have in the studio with me Dr. Yemi Farumbi, who is a veteran broadcaster and of course a former ambassador to the Philippines during the President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. I guess that you're welcome on the program.
Good morning and thank you.
You're welcome. Also, I have in the studio Asiwaju Uju Adebayo. He is a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice for your state between 2011 and 2015. He is also the managing partner at Adebayo and Badamosi Legal Practitioners, Ibadan. He is a member of the National Executive Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association. Sir, you're also welcome on the program today.
Good morning.
It's nice having you around.
Same.
I'm
glad to be here.
It is my honor actually to have these two big fish in the studio with me. And I'd like to say I'm much honored to have the two of you around. Now, let's go straight into the thick of things, as always. And where else do we start than from the reaction of the presidency to the religious intolerance tag by the United States of America? Of course, in the course of the week, we all saw how the presidency reacted to the position of the United States as regards what it called the religious intolerance by Nigeria. And that was Friday last week. But I think by Monday, in the course of the week, the presidency reacted by asking the United States not to meddle in the affairs of Nigerians. And we are Nigerians, those of us who have been in the country, have been monitoring events. And the question in the minds of most Nigerians is the position of the United States true about Nigeria when it comes to religious intolerance? I'd like to start with our former ambassador, Dr. Farumbi. I'd like to get your reaction in respect of that.
Is United States of America correct in his assessment of the position on religious tolerance or intolerance in Nigeria? I would say yes. Of course, we are living witnesses to what Boko Haram had done over the years. We are living witnesses to how Boko Haram forces had invaded churches and destroyed not only the properties but killed people inside churches at moments of worship. We are living witnesses to Boko Haram's intrusion even into mosque, claiming that some of these Muslims are now pure Muslims from their own perspective. What will you call that? Tolerance or intolerance? And we just had in the last 1 week Boko Haram's murder of some Christian workers, aid workers that they kidnapped. What would you call that? So we will be in some deceit if we think that America had not correctly assessed the situation. Of course, there are parts of the country where mutual respect religious tolerance had always been the norm. Of course, if you take the Southwest, for example, it has always been the norm for the Muslims to respect and accommodate Christians, and for the Christians to respect and accommodate the Muslims. It's been the norm for all Southwesterners to celebrate Muslim holidays, Ileya, and things like that.
Yes.
And for Muslims also to celebrate the Christmas and Easter period with the Christians. But you cannot claim that this is the boom all over. Of course, if you talk about what the ISMN also doing, the conflict between the Tijaniyas and the Sunnis that play out in the north, that does not exactly show religious tolerance. It shows that even within the Islamic religion, you see a large measure of intolerance being played out. So for somebody to say that America had not correctly assessed us is probably either not living in this country or it's not being factual.
All right. Now let me get to the former Attorney General of the state. The way it sounded, it came as though Americans were not actually being particular about the insurgents. It's as though they were being particular about the government's stance towards religion, not necessarily about the insurgents. Because if you look at what he just said, if you analyze his comments, the religious intolerance is actually among the insurgents, which has more or less become a global affair now. Terrorism is more a global occurrence now. But the Americans sounded as though it is the Nigerian government and the citizens of Nigeria that are not tolerant when it comes to religion. What's your own position on that?
Thank you very much. Let me say this straight away. I must confess that I hardly discuss religion. Because as far as I'm concerned, I consider it to be personal issue. It is personal to the practitioner. And that's why this country constitution guarantees freedom of religion. You are at liberty to practice any religion that catches your fancy, be it Christianity, Islam, traditional, or what have you. But I want to disagree with the United States of America that the federal government of this country is promoting religious intolerance. That is not true. That is not correct. If you look at the challenges we have in the northeastern part of the country, the Boko Haram, that's terrorism, insurgency, and we have that all over the world. It is not a faith-based terrorism. They've attacked mosques, they've attacked Jumat on Friday and killed several. They've attacked churches. They were not discriminatory. Those people are what I call bandits and some insane human beings or animals. So if with that they are now saying federal government is promoting, that cannot be correct. The president of this country, President Muhammadu Buhari, is a default Muslim. His first president, Yemi Osinbajo, is a default Christian. He's a very default Christian. If a pastor of the Christian Church of God, the secretary of the government of the region, Boss Mustafa, is also a default Christian. You get my point? So, if you look at the balance, all over the state, you see Muslim, Christian, either Muslim is the governor, Christian is the deputy governor, and what have you, and they balance it all over. So we've been tolerating each other. Look, that's not to say that we can't have intolerance, snippets all over. And it's not limited to any of the religion. We have Christians who are not tolerating Muslim, and Muslims who are not tolerating Christian. That's individual nature. Even among Christians, they have Pentecostal, they have what have you, Khan, and what all. Even the Seventh-day people, they are now clamoring that we should not be fighting on Saturday because we are infringing on their right to practice their faith on a Saturday. So then Saturday should be a public holiday. There's not. So what are we talking about?
Okay.
It is not institutional based or instigated intolerance. It is among us.
All right, let me ask Ambassador this question now in terms of the response of Nigeria to such I don't know what to call it now, the allegation or position by the United States. The federal government of Nigeria coming to say that the United States should always try to mind its business and not meddle in its affairs, I mean in the Nigerian affairs. As one who has been at the topmost diplomatic level, how is that how to respond to such, position by the United States?
Of course, in diplomatic circles, there are various ways of interacting. You have bilateral relations, you have multilateral relations. It is possible for America to have responded to Nigeria without issuing a public statement. There are channels for doing that.
Okay.
When such channels are not exploited, you expect that Nigeria will react the way it had reacted. If America feels that there are certain things that Nigeria ought to have done, there are established diplomatic channels for doing this. There are channels for effecting correction, for making suggestions. But sometimes because of sheer weight, because of the kind of position that the President of America takes, Trump has been an unusual Trumpy person. So he tends to assert beyond diplomatic channels. And when you do that, then you're going to react. No matter how small you are,
yes,
you're going to react. No matter how big Nigeria is, if we interfere with Swaziland or Botswana land, they're also going to react the same way, because there are channels for doing some of this thing.
Okay.
Unless, of course, you have exhausted that channel. Because, again, when you look at it, Trump cannot exactly claim to have been religiously tolerant. He's been massively intolerant in his policies, in his immigration policies, in his decision that certain countries cannot enter because of faith. Yes. Not because of economy, not because of his behavior, but because they share one faith. So you say to yourself, who is this black pot? Calling it kettle black. So Nigeria naturally will react that way if America had not exploited the diplomatic options.
Okay. All right. So Nigeria, from what you have said, is on the right track to have responded that way. Now let's move away from that matter and talk about one which actually generated a whole lot of pause in the course of the week, and that's the issue of the release of Omoyele Sowore and Colonel Sambo Dansuki, retired. The presidency insisted that it was right to have held them in detention for that long, and that they were eventually released on a compassionate ground, and that the case of Ibrahim El Zakzaki is in the hand of the Kaduna State government. The Kaduna State government. This has some legal perspective to it. So naturally, I would like to start with the former Attorney General. Let's take the issues one after the other. Was the presidency right to have kept them for that long? Dansuki spent slightly above 4 years, while Omoyele Sowore spent about 5 years in detention.
That statement from the presidency is very unfortunate. It is sad, and it makes mockery of the democracy we enjoy. And you see, one has to understand the perspective in which the federal government made that unfortunate statement. And it is this, and I have no apology to anybody for that.
Okay.
Those who are beneficiary of this present democracy were not there when some people were struggling for the, even people like Baba Farombi here, they were in the trenches confronting the military, and many people lost their life, so they were not there. And what you can't give what you don't have, and it's so unfortunate. I'm a member of APC, but I'm not happy. Look, the law is very clear. Democracy foundation is rule of law, no more, no less. And what do we mean by rule of law? Is constitutionalism. Because we said you cannot detain or keep anybody without being arraigned in court for more than 48 hours. 48 hours. Then, if he's entitled to bail, grant him bail. And court of competent jurisdiction severally granted both of them bail.
Yes.
Yet the federal government unjustly and unjustifiably, unreasonably held on to the two of them. It is sad. And also, when did not appeal, there was no appeal against that order of court. So whoever made that statement, if it's Attorney General of the Federation,
this is coming from the Attorney General of
yes,
Federation, who initially said he did not have powers to relax.
You know our problem in this country. We don't follow matters. Lawyers are there. Let them send a petition against him to the local personal discipline committee. And I can tell you, he will be derobed or strip off his rank of charge. It has happened before. It happened for Case Andwaka. He lost his rank of fancy for 2 years. So it is not new.
I also want to ask you, how do you release someone on compassionate ground?
No, federal government got it wrong again. In fact, that release made it worse. Because you allow the course of justice, you allow the course of justice to run its full course. It would have been better for them to allow a court of competent jurisdiction to release him. Look, except for somebody who has been convicted, the president don't have the power to order the release of anybody on trial to terminate.
So what kind of a democracy?
It is only the Attorney General.
Democracy are we
running? It is
running?
only the Attorney General who can file a prosecute, and that was not filed in this matter.
Okay.
So look, this government is increasingly enticing us every day. It's like they don't know their right from wrong. For this, they are confused and clueless.
Before I take Ambassador Farumbi's position on this, I still like us to talk about the issue of Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, which the Attorney General also insists is in the hands of the Kaduna State government. How is this case in the hands of the Kaduna State government, given the history of this case so far up until this point? Remember that when El-Zakzaky and his wife were taken to India initially for treatment, it was a team by the federal government that accompanied them there, even when they came back.
No, you are not exactly right.
Okay.
This matter has stopped being the federal matter for a long time.
Okay.
It is the Kaduna State government that took that took him and his wife to court. In fact, it was from the Kaduna State High Court that they got the terms of release that will allow him to go to India.
Okay.
But because there is diplomacy involved between Nigeria and India, and Kaduna State government as an entity has no diplomatic relationship that is independent of Nigeria with India. That's how the federal government got involved in it at all. I mean, they will need to take the visa from the Indian embassy. They will need a cooperation of the Nigerian embassy, High Commission in India, and things like that. That's the only reason that the federal government got involved. This had always been the case for more than a year or so now between the Kaduna State government and these people. So the Attorney General of the Federation was quite right.
Quite right, but my worry is
just
that,
a minute.
Okay,
it will be an interference for the Attorney General of the Federation to adjudicate or to give opinion on a matter that is not within his competence. Absolutely, it will be usurpation by the federal government of the responsibility of a constituent unit.
Okay.
That is the position of them. I'm sorry to have...
No. That is quite good that you brought that in, actually. But my own worry, again, is that the Attorney General of the Federation is still pointing at the Kaduna State government and not the courts. I don't know, as an Attorney General, he should know that at the end of the day, it is the court that has the final say as to whether El-Zakzaky and his wife should be released or not. Maybe I should hear from the Attorney General on this matter too.
Because I've been monitoring actively the El-Zakzaky's matter. Because it's a matter in which I'm interested.
Yes.
I'm very close to Mr. Femi Falana,
Okay.
and it's the council representing Esaksaki. So we are always on
Interact.
time on that matter. There are 3 matters in court against Esaksaki. So in one was granted bail. He fulfilled bail condition. But in 2 others, he was not granted bail. So if he was not granted bail, the court, nobody could release him.
Okay.
So his being in detention is lawful and justified under the law.
So there were 3 cases against him, 3 separate cases against him. Okay.
3 separate cases against him.
So in other words, he must have been granted bail for the one.
Just one.
Okay.
Yes.
But he's still being held for the 2 that have not been granted bail.
Exactly.
All right, we have to move on again. Gunmen attacked former President Goodluck Jonathan's home in Otoke. Is there really anything to discuss about this?
Of course, there are issues of security involved in it, but again, we must seek to depoliticize a number of issues. The government may not be necessarily after President Jonathan. We understand that there's a gunboat near his house.
Yes.
That these people were interested in seizing. They want to seize the gunboat and use it for their own illegitimate and
Activities.
and criminal acts. And when people are bandits, they take risks. It didn't matter to them that there was some security around the former president. So they attacked, wanting to take this gunboat, and in the process, in fact, killed some security people. So it talks about the level of security and the level of criminality or banditry that is going on in the country. People who are willing to dare constituted authority in proper definition of faith, so as to promote their own criminality. Perhaps if there had been no gunboat there, nobody would have attacked. In any case, Jonathan left government in 2015, and nobody had attacked him. In spite of everything, in spite of all that he has been doing or he has been saying. So I don't see it as an attack on him. I see it as proponent of banditry wanted to seize an instrument that they can use to raid the territorial waters and kidnap more people or hijack crude oil and things like that. Of course, there is need to continue to step up the level of security, not only at the coastal line, but it is saying that the Navy will probably have to do more than they are doing, or they have to work harder than they are doing. It is also saying that, of course, the government will keep on responding and very quickly to security issues. And I think we have to even commend the security people around the premises of President Jonathan. Otherwise, if they succumb, the boat will have been taken away. But at the risk of their lives, they did what they did. And I think they deserve our salute. They deserve our commendation.
Let me ask the former Attorney General of the state, if these hoodlums could be so daring as to attempting to hijack such in the residence or within the vicinity of a former president, what then do we say about ordinary citizens?
Nobody is safe in this country. That it involves that attack involves former president might just be mere coincidence. Let's take our minds off politics. And I adopt and agree absolutely with what Baba Farumbi said. That's my position. Let me now say this country is not safe anywhere. And you know, criminals are always daring. That's what they are. That's what they are. In fact, they are always ahead of the security agencies and technological development. And they advance with technologies too. But having said that, the entire South, or what you call it, the data, is the most militarized area in this country today.
Wow.
It is the hotbed of criminality. I mean not just robbery or stealing smoke, no. Hotbed of armed bandits or banditry in this country today. Go there and see for yourselves when all workers, especially expatriates, are going on all the installations on all platforms. You will think they are going to war with the level of security agency fully armed, following them, escorting them to it, and coming back home.
Wow.
That place, it is.
So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
No, you see, let me tell you, security issues for security agencies and what have you, and all those things that are related to it, it's a 24/7 business. It's a whole day affair. A whole day, a whole hour,
yes,
a whole minute, a whole second. Because once you are off it just for 1 minute, they will eat in and take advantage of that lapse and strike, and that mess up the entire security apparatus. So federal government security agency, they should up their games. They should be on top of their game so that they can checkmate. Don't let us deceive ourselves. We must always have security challenges. We must always, even sophisticated ones, but the security agencies must be on top or must be ahead of them rather than allow those bandits and criminals to be ahead of them.
What about let me ask the ambassador now, the economic aspect to this? Is there an economic aspect to this increasing spate of insecurity we have in the country? Which a lot of people have actually alluded to, but I don't know from your own perspective.
From what you had just said, for example, about Niger Delta, why are they doing it? Money. They started many years ago with diversion of crude oil, with attack on pipelines, with making money, with hijacking shiploads of crude oil. You know, it is economic. When you talk about kidnapping, for example, why do they kidnap? It's become an industry, an easy way, perhaps a cheaper way than 419 to make money. So there is human greed involving all of this. A lot of people do not want to work, they want to make money.
Wow.
They're ready to take risks so that they can acquire wealth. The spate of banditry that you found in Zamfara was simply because there were mining opportunities there. That was why. So behind all of this has always been human greed for some people who are daring, and they're always daring. Absolutely daring. And they would take any risk so as to be able to acquire illegally huge sums of money that if they work normally all their life, they cannot get.
Wow. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. I have been talking with a former Nigeria's ambassador to the Philippines, Dr. Yemi Farumbi, and of course, a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State between 2011 and 2015, Asiwaju Ujo Adebayo. And we have been looking at some of the major issues that made the round in the course of the week. I think it's a convenient time for us to open the lines to have you call in and of course join the conversation this morning. You can dial 0908 1111 067, 0908 1111 067, or 0808 0101 067, 0808. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, please do call back. 0808 0101 067, 0808 0101 067. Of course, you can view us live as we speak on our Facebook page, Pensioners 1067 FM. Pensioners, hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. My name is Timothy Magere.
All right, you're welcome on the program.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
My question that I want to ask, before the issue of Suki and so people are blaming Buhari that the one that refused to them. Now that this is from our daddy that he has done wrong thing.
Okay.
Which one wants our government to do? Okay. I don't even know.
All right, thank you very much. Maybe my guest will respond to your question. I don't know if you got the point he was making.
Yes.
Please.
That how do we not satisfy our people?
Yes.
When the man refused to...
we were shouting that, yes, now that you are them, we are still complaining.
No.
So what's the point here?
It's not about... that's what arbitrariness always lead to.
Okay.
When you don't follow the process of law. And when you don't get it right.
Okay.
Two wrongs don't make it right. You get my point?
Yes.
Look, it is not his business to release them.
Okay. Let's take this other call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good, Mr. PIUS, NSABE.
You are welcome on the program.
Yeah, my name is Bello Yemi Ezekiel JP.
Okay.
I've been watching you live on Facebook.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Alakia, Ishebo area.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, first and foremost, let me welcome our Baba Yemi Farumbi.
Yes.
And my Honorable former Attorney General of Oyo State and Commissioner for Justice for the topic I met you on.
Okay.
Yeah. I have critically looked at several issues relating to the security pace of Nigeria and Oyo State. Now, if we want to talk of how the state and the citizenry will be secured, I think we should talk about the security operatives, the DSS, the police, and all other government security outlets. But these days, it's a pity. You will recall that a few months ago, to be precise, somebody was kidnapped along Mania area. I think a child or a former commissioner or minister. I was with the CP Okewabu for that day. ACP Okewabu for that day, relating to one issue of assault by a police officer.
Okay.
And before he told us that he will have to leave us. Now, I think in few days they got the guy saved. I was thinking if the guy happened to be the child of an ordinary citizen, how easy would the retriever will have been? Personally, myself, I think if we will have a good security of lives and property in Nigeria, according to the Constitution, you know, police are the more people that the law give that thing to.
Yes, yes.
Before the civil defense were later appointed.
And other security operatives, yeah.
Yes. But it's a pity that today, what we see today, police are also, some of the police officers, they are the one now that are backing these criminals. I have some petitions to the CP. By the grace of God, I had a human rights organization.
Okay.
A case involving a police officer against civilian. A police officer married to an OPC guy who usually foment trouble along that area. We wrote the petition. The lady said that no petition will be treated, and she will make sure that the petitions are carpeted. And funny you, she did.
Really?
We first wrote to the area command, Agodi here. They did not process the petition. I wrote again to the CP. 4 days after, the CP office responded and forwarded it to the state CID on a case that has to do with threat to life, stealing, and all others. Now, when he got there, when he got there, the investigating officer, knowing fully well that the person is also a police officer or other, they frustrated and bound the case against the complainant.
All right, you may need to round off your thought, please. Much as I know that the point you are making is a very strong one, but you still need to round off your thoughts.
What I am saying is that I think we should look into how we're going to have a good policing.
Okay.
How we're going to have a good policing so that the lives and the properties of Nigerian citizenry will be safe. And the issue of harassing the right activists should stop. I think they should follow law. There should be rule of law properly followed.
Right.
The law should not be violated by people who should uphold the law.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate your contribution on the program. I don't know if you have any reactions to some of the things he just pointed out.
Yes.
Facts.
Like the first caller.
Yes.
Raise a very
critical issue. Yes.
It might look petty, but very serious issue.
Okay.
That when the president refused to release Sowore,
okay,
Nigerians were complaining. Now that the president has released,
they are still complaining
that how do we now satisfy our people? It is not about release or no release.
Okay.
It's about the failure or the refusal and or neglect of the presidency.
Okay.
To follow the due process of law. That's it.
All right, Ambassador, can we hear your perspective to that?
My learned counsel here is very right. It's something that does not involve the presidency. This is a matter that had been to a court of legitimate jurisdiction.
Okay.
They have given a ruling. If you do not like that ruling,
hello?
Then you appeal. There was no appeal.
One minute.
Good morning, Bayo.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Ambassador Yemi Faroudi.
Thank you, man.
And Barista Joade Bayo. May God bless you. I love your last comment now. The answer you gave to that man is the perfect thing to do. John Njoku is my name.
Yeah.
And I'm living from South Mokola here.
All right.
And I'll be following your comment with that attention.
Okay.
That Sowore was released on compassionate ground. It will only be told to Nigeria suffering from poverty of knowledge and understanding, information deficit, or intellectually minority Nigeria. It to release was as a result of persistent condemnation of disobedience to court order by General Muhammadu Buhari-led government of Nigeria, and the coming from Nigerians of good conscience, including the international community and some lawmakers of the USA, and the former ambassador of USA to Nigeria, Ambassador John Campbell. I want to commend them a great deal. However, I know Dr. Ambassador Yemi Faroudi as a contract in Nigerian elder statesman. So my question to Ambassador Yemi Faroudi, who is equally a member of AP, is that
I think you are wrong.
I was going to ask that actually.
I think you are wrong.
Go on, Mr. John Njoku.
But go on with your question.
So what I'm saying, the most important thing in human life is history. Okay. Are you all confused, or let me say, are you surprised by the flagrant disobedience to court order by this government, hearing a man that the most important thing in human life is history? Recall that when the government of Major General Buhari was sacked or dismantled August 27, 1985, General Babangida described him as too rigid into issues of national security. This is my question I want to answer.
My answer to that is very, very simple.
All right.
In their wisdom or lack of it, majority of Nigerians opted to vote for him in 2015. They are aware of this history you just talked about.
Yes.
But in spite of that history, they chose to vote for him. And that is what democracy is about. We cannot query the legitimacy of their decision. We cannot query the wisdom of it. We cannot now say, oh, they ought to have known. They probably knew. They probably made a comparison between the options available to them. And in their own wisdom, they think that this is a better option. That does not mean that in all circumstances he will be a better person. It does not mean he probably had changed. It only means that it was better packaged, and it happens world over. For years, the Labour Party was not elected the UK until Tony Blair came. He did a packaging and they were voted in. But that does not mean that the principle that Labour Party subscribed to had changed. So we cannot question the legitimacy of Nigeria's decision to vote for whoever they like. Our own expectation is that those who are entrusted into position will now perform creditably and rise up to the expectations of the people. As my learned counsellor said, this issue is so straightforward, and Nigeria will keep on complaining whether Showore is released or Dasuki is released. They are not happy that a man was kept for 4 years and had more than four occasions granted bail, and this compassion was not there. In any case, compassion has nothing to do with this matter.
I was going to ask that because I know we've talked about that. Another thing I wanted to ask.
Sorry, just a minute. There is something, because I'm a media man, I get angry. The media managers of the presidency, they are incompetent and they are sometimes absolutely inept. I mean, take the editorial of Punch. We had conflicting reactions from the special advisor and the senior special assistant, matter that does not concern them. We show that they have stopped being what they were when they were managing editors. You know, it is not done. A lot of these problems are created by them. The EU releases, the EU statement, they probably are not even clear with their principles. Sometimes this statement does not show the kind of respect that some of us had for them when they were managing editors or editors-in-chief of newspapers. So, and they create problems for government. A situation they ought to just have kept quiet. Absolutely quiet. They needed no release. They needed no comment. The Attorney General has said this. The Attorney General in itself was wrong. Then they now added more to it to say they were doing it on compassionate ground. Has Buhari any compassionate ground to release somebody? The only thing he can do, he can instruct his Attorney General, like Malana Council said, and he will go to court and file a nolle prosequi. That is all. And it will be a public issue. So I think they ought to look at their media management. That's something absolutely deficit in it.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Okay.
My own question is that supposing our president is obey every court order, and then, hello sir.
Go ahead, we are listening to you.
And then, you know, the mission of our people in Nigeria, when they are raising a lot of money and they are granted this, and they are still having things to answer, or they will escape to another country. That is the head. Mandreke is there now. You are unable to take him back home. If the president is allowing everybody to be receiving bail from the court and go out of the country, that is the end of Nigerian money.
All right.
I don't know.
Thank you.
What are we to do in that case?
Thank you. Now, one thing you must know is that being granted bail does not mean that you have been set free. Your trial is ongoing, and there are some conditions and conditionalities, some of which include the fact that you don't have to leave the country. Your passport is seized. Maybe the attorney should speak on that.
Bail to a defendant in a criminal trial is a constitutional right, and it's at the discretion of the court. The essence of bail, pure and simple, is to secure the presence of that defendant in court for his trial, to always be in court, so that he won't run away. Just it. Because when people get it right, the mere fact that one is facing a criminal trial does not mean you are convicted. You are a suspect. And there is what we call presumption of innocence in your favor until a court of law has pronounced you guilty.
And like the case of this woman now, Madwike, Alice Madwike, she talked about. She was already outside the country.
She was already outside the country.
Yes. So, all right. Okay. You wanted to make a point?
We have a tendency in this country to model facts up, and one thing is clear: we must always operate on facts. If Madueke had been in this country and the presidency did nothing, they didn't charge him to court and things like that, it would be a different thing. Or if he had been charged to court and she escaped, that would have been a different thing. There are instances that you grant people bail. They granted Nnamdi Kanu bail and he escaped. There are instances like that, but of course you don't, because of one person who misbehaved, therefore deny others of their own constitutional rights to a bail.
All right, it's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. I think it's a convenient point for us to take a musical break. It's 10:58 a.m. on our dial. We'll be back shortly. Please do stay tuned.
Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama. Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama.
Africa is now or never. You either win it or lose it forever. Africa is now or never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Nigeria is now or never. You either love it or lose it forever. Nigeria is now or never. We rather love it and keep it for good. Freedom is now or never. We either win it or lose it forever. Freedom is now or never. We rather win it and keep it for good. Let me hear
Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi, Jai Kama, Ziga Hosi.
Welcome back. It's Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. I have been talking with a former ambassador to the Philippines, Dr. Yemi Farumbi, and of course, a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State, Asiwaju Ujo Adebayo, both of whom have been assessing some of the major issues that made the round in the course of the week. Of course, we have to continue in that line. It's exactly 1 minute past 11 on our dial here on Pensioners 106.7 FM, broadcasting from the Oyo Pensioners House, fondly called Africa's Model. Gentlemen, let's move to Edo State, where a lot seems to be happening between the national chairman, the chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, and the governor, Godwin Obaseki. First of all, Oshomole rejected, from the report we got, a Christmas package sent to him by the governor. Some people said it had about 10 bags of rice and 4 cows. Whatever it was, the bottom line is that Oshomole turned it down, understandably so. Of course, it's been back and forth between the two. Obaseki has insisted that Oshomole's antics will no longer work in the state and that he has President Buhari's consent to sanction Oshomole. And Oshomole, he said Oshomole remains suspended in the state. A lot of things has been back and forth between the two. And what I've been trying to wrap my head around is how a national chairman of a party will be partyless in his state. I don't know. Maybe I should start with the Attorney General now.
Thank you so much. That is not new to me. It's not.
What exactly is happening?
No, it's not new. In politics, it's normal. And since we started this National Democratic 1999, we've had series of issues like that.
Yes.
Between Godfather.
A lot of them. Lots and lots of them.
And the godson.
But the question is, should we continue like that?
No,
is it
good?
good?
So it's unfortunate. Something happens when we don't see politics as service to humanity and mankind. That's just it. People who don't see service to humanity. Look, you've done your tenure. 8 years, even 4 years. For God's sake, leave the governor alone. They fought for him, not you. They fought for him for 4 years. Let him run out his one term too. If the Edos are not pleased with him, the date of election here,
around the corner,
they will vote him out. And so be it. Why, if Comrade Adam Soshomole disappointed me a lot. I'm disappointed because he came into politics on the goodwill of being a labor union activist. I'm disappointed. And one of his slogans then was, by the time I leave Edo State, we are going to bury godfatherism in politics.
Yes.
And now you want to be godfather to another person? No.
Is it tied to the way Governor Obaseki emerged? Just like he said, we've seen it across board.
You know, it's a fundamental error in the political system since 1999. He said, the fact that incumbents want to plant successors, it is wrong. They want to convert themselves into some godfather. They want to establish a hegemony. They want to dictate governance even after they have left the office. Oshiomhole fought Tony Anene to a standstill because he said he was going to liquidate for once godfatherism. Now he is now creating his own hegemony. He has no business doing that. And I'm happy. It's happened quite in a number of states where people planted their successor and their successor rebelled. It happened to Shimarokin.
It has happened to almost everybody. Even in Lagos State, we saw it recently.
It happened to President Jonathan in Bayelsa. You know, people should stop. They should allow the people to choose whoever they want. And when they get there, give them their opportunity to work for 4 years. If they don't do well, the people know what to do. They will sack them. You cannot constitute yourself into a supervisor of a governor. I mean, there are enough checks and balances. He has a legislature, he has a political party, and it is worse because you are the national chairman of the party. And like Malana Kansas very rightly said, I am immensely disappointed because I thought that Oshiomhole was going to bring a new dimension to politics. Here is a man who has been a labor leader. He has been a unionist. He has been a critique of government.
Yes.
He has been a critique of governance. So I thought he was going to start a new mode, a new model, a new standard. I didn't expect that he will gravitate to this decadence that we all think we should no longer see. I thought he should leave that governor alone. Let him do what he can, what he's able to do. If he hasn't done well, the people will sack him. If he does well, the people will vote.
Will retain him.
Will retain him. He should not take over because he's national chairman. Therefore, he becomes the supervising governor. It is not done.
Okay. Now, to Asiwaju Adebayo. Now, as it stands now, the governor insists that Oshomole has been suspended. Does the governor has the power, or does the governor have the power to suspend a national chairman in a state, a national party chairman in a state?
No matter what you are,
Yes.
in any political party,
Yes.
you are a member of that party,
Yes.
and all politics is local.
Hmm.
Even President Buhari
Okay.
belongs to a ward in Katsina.
Yes.
He belongs to a local government,
Yes.
a state, for the country.
Okay.
So if it's going to be suspended, it has to be from
there.
some state.
So if that is the case, does it still make him a national chairman?
Provided due process was followed, provided he was lawfully suspended. Yes.
But we have two.
and that we are not in the
We are not in
We are
position to
not
know.
in a
We
position
won't
to
know.
know
To know.
here.
You know,
But from
unless you
my,
have the fact.
from
Okay.
my long experience in politics, I know that, like you said, all politics is local. You start by being a member of a political party by joining that party in the ward. If the ward suspends you legitimately,
Yes.
then you stop being a member of the party. But we don't know what has happened. We don't know whether there have been due process, and due process includes also fair hearing and
Yes,
things
yes,
like
yes.
that. If that had been done, then it would be partyless. But if it is not been done, of course, and in many cases in this country, we know that things are
Done anyhow. For instance,
anyhow.
in the Edo State case, if I still remember very well, we had two factions. One faction suspended Obaseki himself. The Obaseki's faction suspended Oshomole. So, like you said, we don't even know which one is which one.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Now, Ambassador Farumbi, I think something crop up which I was going to ask you. Are you still a politician? Which party do you belong as we speak? Because somebody said you were a member of the APC.
I'm not a member of the APC.
Are you still in the PDP?
I'm not in the PDP. I belong to the SDP.
Wow.
But let me say this. When I sit here, and you could have seen from the Learned Council.
Fantastic.
You see, when you come as a commentator or an analyst, we are no longer partisan politicians. We are politicians, of course. Every human being has political capacity and instinct. But when you come to analyze issue like this, you put your partisanship aside. You want to be remembered that, oh, he's a seasoned lawyer who has been an activist. Don't forget that. He cannot hang that reputation that he earned over the years simply because he wants to comment an issue and he will wear an APC glass for looking at it. No, it is not done. And people must begin to understand it. Even those of us who are broadcasters, who are not partisans, we have political leanings,
Sure.
we have political views.
Sure.
But at the moment you are tackling an issue, you forget that. I'm, of course, an active politician.
Okay. I just needed our listener to know that because Mr. John Njoku raised that issue and then you, I think, immediately countered it, but we didn't have time to clarify it, so I had to bring it
The
up.
problem with Nigerians is that if Buhari does something right and you say it is right, then you must be an APC member.
Yes.
If you condemn what he has done, then you must either be a PDP member.
An opposition member.
No, it doesn't work that way for a number of us.
All right. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. You can still join the conversation, of course. 0908 1111 067 0908 1111 067 0808 0101 067 0808 0101 067. We are also streaming live on our website www.pensioners1067fm.com www.pensioners1067fm.com. You can join us live also on our Facebook page, Pensioners FM 106.7, Pensioners FM 106.7. Now another issue we want to look into is the issue of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, the IPPIS. There's been back and forth between the federal government and ASU on this matter. Of course, the federal government wants every member of the academic staff union of universities to be registered under the IPPIS. But ASU has, of course, rejected that move, saying it undermines the autonomy of universities. And it has remained insistent that it's not going to be part of it, even though we know that along the line, it seems there is a compromise, as some lecturers are already, from the report we have, I can't authoritatively say that now, but we heard that some lecturers are already enrolling in it. And we also have a faction of ASU now, which is the Congress of University Academics, which has ordered its members to go ahead and enroll. I would like to have the take of both of you on this issue. Who is right here? Is it the federal government or ASU? But that will be after I receive this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, you may need to call back, please. I think the lines are acting up. Okay, let me start with the Attorney General, sir.
Yes.
Let me get your position on this issue of ASU and the federal government. Left to you, should ASU just, embrace this IPPIS thing? Or should they remain adamant and insist that they don't want to be part of the IPPIS?
Thank you. Let me say this now, that it is high time we do away with this sort of collective bargaining in our labor law. We are in the labor house now.
Yes.
It's high time that we do away with it.
What do you mean by that?
By that, I mean, when any worker is being engaged, you get your own employment.
You make that very salient point, but after this call. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello? All right, let me not distort your flow again.
When you are being employed or you're engaged, for example, when you are engaged here,
yes,
in this studio,
yes,
in this FM 106.7, you applied on your own, yes, not with any other person, and you had your interview,
yes,
and a letter of employment was issued to you, stating your the terms and conditions of your employment. Get my point? So look, ASU and other trade unions over years have heard the employers ransom, which is not wrong. For God's sake, what is ASU talking about? They are asking you be on the integrated payroll.
Hello, sorry. Hello.
Hello, PIUS.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. John Njok is my name.
Okay.
Dr. Yanitra on this, thank you for clarification. May God bless.
All right.
And however, you said that you are surprised about the sheer amount of conduct. I am not surprised because power corrupts, absolute power corrupts. Regrettably, it was the same Uchiyo Mother who promised to end up fatalism in Edo State, apparently referring to the late the former minister for transport. Yes, Tony Anini. He is equally involved in the thing. But let us watch. We should be happy to see what happens in Edo State. And at the end of the day, we know, Boya Ikulo Loko, Boya Pakuteni, we know what happens.
All right.
Right.
Thank you very much. Let me allow you land on the spot now.
I said that ASU, another trade union,
yes,
they've held their employers to ransom. What are they asking you? Hey, look, let us move all of you to integrated payroll system for accountability, for transparency. And ASU is saying no. It is unheard of. It's unfortunate.
My issue is how.
Let me add one. When I was Attorney General, we asked for personal income tax of all federal government tertiary institutions in Oyo State. Believe me, none of them were not paying their tax in accordance with the law. And we tried to, because we didn't want to store down UI or any other federal agents, federal schools, except UCH paid adequately. But others, you know what they did? They took us to court, and the case has been there. In fact, the VC then, when we had meeting with them, Professor Adewale,
yes,
said, he told us, he confessed. The answer was that, look, they are my organs here. I dare not go against them. That I'm remitting my home personally to the government. What is that? That's lawlessness. The case is still pending in court. Lawlessness, tax from ASU. Believe me, it is sad.
Ambassador, what's your
It's a
position
very
on this
simple
issue?
matter.
Okay.
The government was elected to manage the economy of this country. And if it fails, we will sack them in an election.
Yes.
They are expected to use the various tools available to them, TSA, IPP and all of that, to manage the economy. They have not reduced the salary of anybody. They've not asked that somebody should not be paid. They say that in their own wisdom, for us to be able to run a transparent economy, we need this. I don't see what is the problem. Honestly, I don't see how it erodes
On autonomy.
on autonomy. What is autonomy? Who is employing the staff for them? Is it federal government that came? Is it not the University Council? Who does the promotion? Is it not the Senior Staff Appointment and Promotion Committee? Who does the disciplinary issues? Is it not the Senior Staff and Disciplinary Committee? Even who appoints Vice Chancellor? Is it not the University Council? But government says, we are funding you. We want all of you to be placed on this payroll so we will know what we are paying, so we will know what we are budgeting. I don't see how that interferes.
Some say since they are so concerned about autonomy, they should also start paying themselves, generating resources and paying themselves too, since they should not receive money from the federal government
and
anymore.
there is one vital point that the Attorney General, former Attorney General, had made. And it's become a problem in this country. The issue of this collective bargaining, even up to national level, to a situation in which a teacher in my village that probably does not pay any house rent at all,
Transport
has to be paid because of a collective bargaining structure that have been imposed on the system, has to be paid as the same as a teacher in Victoria Island.
But incidentally, the two of you, from what I have gathered, are or used to be activists, or whether you are still activists.
We are still
so what is
activists.
activism all about? What is
No,
unionism all about? If not for the fight for if not to fight for the interests
Listen,
of everybody.
It is to fight for the interest of everybody. Equity does not mean equality. I am saying this. I mean, and these professors. These professors know it, that in a university in US, two professors don't necessarily earn the same salary. They look at the quantum of postgraduate students that you supervise. You are a professor, you only teach undergraduate students. I'm a professor and I spend all my time teaching postgraduate students or even postdoctoral.
But there has to be a benchmark first. I think it's that benchmark that they ask for at some
that
point.
is the concept of national minimum wage. That is the concept. Beyond that, all this collectivization of all of us bargaining. using the ability to stop work, using the ability to frustrate services, to blackmail people into paying equally to people who are not equally gifted, who are not equally qualified, who are not equally contributing, who are not equally adding value. We've reached a situation in this country that nobody knows what is called job evaluation any longer. Nobody cares. You have to evaluate every job. You have to look at the education involved, the risk involved, the responsibility involved, the kind of effort involved. Nobody does that any longer. You just say yes because it's level 7 federal, level 7, therefore we will be paid the same day. It's not done. There is something called scientific management, and this includes evaluating job. They take a look at a broadcaster, for example, and look at somebody in water corporation, and they say they have the same OND or HND or degree. They pay them alike.
Wow.
The water corporation man may not supply water in a whole year. Nobody will talk. But that radio man, if God help him, if he's not on air for 1 minute, he's off his job. I mean, these are risks, and these are scientific things that we have lost in the name of collective bargaining.
So what will be your brotherly advice now?
Let me even add to what Baba said. Look, you are here. You know your salary. Your colleague in Espresso FM or Fresh FM or even the station over there,
yes,
cannot be the same. Even if you have the same qualification and same degree, and you make the same grade, it doesn't have to be the same. It has to depend on your productivity level, then the ability of your employers, its means and resources. That's why I said this issue of collective bargaining is trust. For example, how will you expect or your state to fix minimum wage at 30,000 naira, and you expect Ogun also to fix minimum wage at 30,000 naira, and also state
to do the same?
No, we are with the capacity. We have different capacity.
So these things, boys, and maybe we should even talk about the NLC a bit now. So, because the NLC is insisting that everybody must pay 30,000 naira and above, even though we saw the reluctance in some states.
It is
but eventually it's as if they were twisted to do it. Now, this, you know, we've had discussions in the past as to the fact that each state should independently have its own minimum wage.
You see,
can we talk about that?
Our problems in Nigeria are multifaceted and multifarious. We are not operating through federalism. We are not practicing through federalism. Why we they enhance national minimum wage in Abuja? And it's because my problem. No, it can't be my problem. Okay, when I was Attorney General, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mohammed Adoki, SCN,
yes,
wrote a letter to us, offer some custom officers that we were prosecuting. They are fake. They killed some citizens at Akpata, and they were arrested and we sent them to court. He demanded for the file, the case file. I told him off. They are being charged under law of the state, and secondly, I'm not your staff. I don't work for you.
All right, we need to move on now. We are going to get a bit more personal at some point, but let's also look at one of the things that Governor Makinde said recently while celebrating his 52nd birthday in a Thanksgiving service. He said he was ready to break some toes in working for Oyo State. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to again look at our dear governor's performance, how far he has come. We've seen a lot of accolades for the governors, but some people believe it's not yet guru. Ambassador, how would you assess the tenure of Governor Seyi Makinde so far?
Honestly, I laugh. He's not spent 1 year. I have seen in Osun State a governor who for his very first 2 years paid salary not later than the 25th. Who for the very first 2 years paid the 13th month. Who by the third year was paying 60% what you call modulated salary. And I love Governor Makinde. I love his youthfulness. I love his experience. I think we should not adulate him to death. Let us see him do his first year, then do his second year. But when you over praise people, oh yes, he's done beautiful lighting in Iwo Road, and everybody goes there every night. I know that they've been doing this in Lagos State for so many years. You know, we have a tendency in Nigeria to celebrate the irrelevance. I want to.
But maybe it's because the people have been deprived for long.
Yes, they will keep on being deprived because they celebrate too early. I have a feeling that GSM.
Hello. Sorry. Hello. Okay, you have a feeling that GSM
will end well. I have a feeling that, but let us see him do that.
Progress.
Let us see him do the infrastructural development that he had promised. Let us see the educational innovations that he's introducing. Let us see it ripe and yielding fruits. I think it is too early. He came May 29. This is December. Then I now sit down. I said, let us begin to clap for him. In fact, what I do, and I do for those of them who are in governance that I know, I pray for them now.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Adeyemo.
Okay.
From Atos.
Adeyemo
I
from...
appreciate our Baba Apeche.
Okay.
I appreciate our Baba Ofa there.
All right.
And I continue to pray for Baba because we have been hearing him doing wonderfully for the masses. As for today, not today, you know why we continue to praise him? We will continue to praise him and pray for him so that he could do more. Because some sectors of education here, I refer to the pensioners from primary school in Oyo State, they have been deprived of their rights for almost 8 years, for which Governor Imakide is trying to gradually settle by now. So you know that deserves prayer and praising.
All right.
Except and unless you want to be like Richie Umori, you know that. Okay. That is why we are praising him.
All
and
right.
we continue to pray and praise him.
All right.
More. We will implore our Father there too, not to forget him very clear.
All right.
We are going to rescue the pensioners from primary.
Incidentally, I will keep on praying for him. That I have a policy, and I explained it. If a friend of mine gets appointed as a Attorney General today, I will not hold a party for him. I will only hold a party at the end if he has done well. Because I know that there's a tendency in Nigeria to over-celebrate mediocrity, and at the end, we will not turn around and start condemning. Instead of making suggestions, yes, you've done well here, we think you can do this, we want to see the result of this. That is what I'm saying. Okay. I'm not saying he has not started well, but I am saying we should begin to celebrate maybe from the third year when we see
his performance so far.
The plants that he's planting, and we see the type of fruits that he's giving.
Okay, let's get the perspective of the former Attorney General of the state on this matter.
First and foremost, I adopt all Baba said.
Yes.
As mine.
Yes.
Only.
Okay.
But I will now add some few.
Okay. But before you add, I want to ask, for somebody who has been deprived of his or her salary or maybe pension, like our last caller said, for years, and eventually someone now came up and not just gave you the assurance that he will clear it, that you are seeing it happen. Naturally, what kind of reaction do you expect?
Let me explain.
Okay.
Our people always forget things so soon. We have very short of faint memories in the country. Baba started the government of Osun State with a bad nomination. That Governor Aregbesola.
We know who Baba is talking about. Anybody listening to this program
when
knows.
Senator Abelajimabi became governor of the state in 2011, he was paying salary on the 25th or before 25th of every month. And he was the first governor to pay that salary to workers. Full 13-month salary. Senator they pay 50%, 13-month salary. Really my point. Ajimabi did that for 4 years. Until this country entered into recession in for 3.5 years until 2015.
Okay.
When the money for federal government was not coming. And you know we are not practicing true federalism. And look, for God's sake, payment of salary is not an achievement for any government. It's not an achievement. It is your right. I have my law firm. I pay my colleagues in chamber. It is compulsory. In fact, it is auto payment. By 26th of every month, the salary must drop. What are we now celebrating? Look, coming back to this for pension. Yes. We are in the pensioners' house here. Governor Ajimabi was the first governor in the entire country that increased pension by 140%. And all this comrade here, the secretary and their president there, Baba, who is now late. The secretary up to now, I think that's Mr. Comrade Abaton. And the national president came to give him an award as the best pensioner-friendly governor in the entire country, number one.
But the problem at some point was not about increasing, but paying it.
He was paying it seriously until if you have cash flow problem, may God forbid, if something happen, we Governor Makinde go and borrow money to pay.
But where is Governor Makinde getting the money to pay now? That's the question a lot of people are asking.
Now there's money.
From where?
How did Ajimobi pay it from 2011 to 2015?
Don't forget, before Ajimobi left, he said the state was broke. And then when Makinde came in, he said the same. He maintained that position.
You see. I'm coming, sir. Baba, let me add this. I've said this. It seems that journalists now they are very lazy.
Okay.
They are lazy. You listen and think and take it in. Who like and think what people pour out to you. It's all right. That's what you call. I was a student of mass communication.
Are you saying?
Let me land.
No, you raise an issue now, which we have to clarify before we move on. Are you then saying that the state was not broke as at the time of Ajimobi left office?
Ajimobi no salary when he left on May 29. That's what you should do.
How come pension was being owed?
No, pension was being owed at the primary school level, not at the state. Not at the state, at the primary.
Who gives the local government money to pay the pension?
Wait, let me explain now.
Okay, go ahead.
You see what I'm saying for what you are. I did not come here. You know I'm coming here today.
Yes.
And you know you will raise this question. You have to have armed yourself with facts. And not the government said this, government said no.
I don't know which other fact you wanted me to arm myself with, because
investigate. That's what you call investigative journalism. You don't listen to trust.
What is the point now?
Anybody is pouring out. Anybody can say anything, but get your facts right.
And the fact is what I'm telling you, that Governor Ajimobi, as at the time he was leaving office, said the state was broke. Makinde came in and said the same thing.
The state was broke, and Governor said Makinde messed 6.2 billion in some accounts. Was the state broke when he messed 6.2 billion in accounts?
All right, let's move on. Now let's have your assessment. You have
the assessment. Look, this man has been in saddle for just 7 months now. It is too early. It is not good to even condemn me if he has not done anything, because he won't be able to get his feet right. Look, I don't believe in all these populists. I want something that is substantial, and concrete, not what I call upper side policy here and there. No. Although there must be some quick wins. You understand them? What they are doing? Oh, these people, they want salary. Let me be paying salary. But you still have concrete terms. Look at my point. For example, this man abolished the 1,000 naira per-term payment in public school.
Yes.
He abolished it. People applauded him for that. Now, WAEC is here. He said, go and pay for you. I might be paid WAEC fees for final year students in secondary school. So you gave them 3,000 naira. You are now sent to pay 60,000 naira. That's penny wise pound foolish. What are we talking about?
It's all right. We have to move on now on the assessment of your state. At least we have your positions as far as Governor Makinde is concerned. And the bottom line is that it is probably too early for us to start celebrating.
It is too early. I wish him well.
The governor.
It is in our own interest that our governor to succeed.
Okay.
He has to
I
succeed.
pray he should succeed.
All right.
Otherwise, 4 years of all our lives lost. Okay. He has to succeed.
Let's take this musical break, maybe to calm down nerves a bit. Let's take this musical break here today.
There is no nerve. He made a very good.
I suffer for slave days. I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
They took us away from Ethiopia. They took us away from Namibia. They took us away from Liberia. He said they took us away from Nigeria. Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
They made us to work so hard in plantation. They gave us a heavy mark on our backs. We languages prohibited over there. We say we languages prohibited on there. Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onirike, Ibadan. And we have been looking at some major issues that made the round in the course of the week. And I have with me in the studio this morning a former Nigeria's ambassador to the Philippines, Dr. Yemi Farombi, and of course, a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State, Asiwaju Adebayo Ujo. And together we have been making commentaries on those issues. Now we just have to move on a bit and possibly see how we can talk about some issues that may be a bit personal, particularly to the ambassador. And that's I read about you, how you said that your emergence as an ambassador was was backed by the then Governor Aregbesola, and how that possibly if he had not backed you, you wouldn't have emerged. How much of politics do we have in appointments in the country today?
Let me tell you, it is sheer politics that the president in power will nominate people to be ambassadors.
Okay.
It is a constitutional process that these nominees must be approved by Senate. It was the rule of the Senate that if two ambassadors in your state oppose your appointment, you are off.
Two senators, sir.
Two senators.
Out of the three.
Out of the three.
I was nominated by Jonathan. At that time, Osun State was an APC state, an ACN state. The three senators, almost all the legislators were ACN. The governor, and I've never met the governor before. As a matter of fact, I didn't meet him physically until I came back in 2015.
Wow.
And we met at an incident. That was my first time of meeting him. So, we were advised to go and speak to our senators so that they will not, particularly those of us who are from the Southwest, because the ACN swept the Southwest at that time. And I approved my senators, and they told me I didn't have to meet them, that they had an instruction from the governor that whoever opposes Yemi Farombi can consider himself not be a member of the ACN.
Wow.
A man that I have never met. And so I said thank you. I left. I didn't need to go and say thank you to him. I didn't even bother. I went to the Senate committee. I was cleared and so on. When I came back, I met him in an accident. There was a Rave FM that was being commissioned.
Okay.
He was the special guest of honor, and I was the chairman of the event. That was my first time of ever in live meeting. So I asked him, I said, you did this. So he smiled. I said, why did you do it? He said, not everything is politics in this country. That he has a knowledge of of the track record of my performance in every place that I had worked, in all the things I've said, the kind of politics I've played, the kind of thing that the Attorney General referred to, the fact that when it became difficult and we had the Dagogu head of state in this country, some people still spoke. And he said, he put all of that together and said, it doesn't matter whether at that time I was PDP and it was ACN,
yes.
that he saw a good Nigerian. Simple.
Wow.
And there are people who behave that way. There are still people in APC or in PDP who are sufficiently knowledgeable, sufficiently patriotic that they look at events not from a partisan view. So when, for example, we say things about GSM or we say some things about PMB, we are not looking at parties involved. We are looking at the ultimate goal for the people. We are looking at the need to move Nigeria forward.
Okay.
So that is what happened. And everywhere I go, I tell everybody, since that time I've met Aregbe only once. That means in my entire lifetime,
Met him twice.
I've met him only twice.
Wow.
For me, I will say what has happened, and I will say it without coloration.
Okay, let's also hear from our former Attorney General, because there are a lot of young people out there who are listening to you. You are a source of inspiration to them, having held some major positions in the country. What was your own story like? Did you have any personal relationship before you were nominated to become the Attorney General, or what's your own story like?
You see, let me say this, and people will be surprised.
Yes.
I met Governor Jimabi by chance, by accident. It was Senator Rasidi Ladoja who handed me over to him and introduced me to him.
Wow.
They had a case at the tribunal then. That was when Jimabi contested under the AMPP. So the matter was filed by a gubernatorial candidate of Republican Party of Nigeria, Chief Muiz Akande. It was being handled by one of the traditional in this state, Baba Oyewo, Professor Oyewo.
Okay.
Not the President of Nigeria, Baba Toriola Oyewo. Baba was being threatened by the Molete Kabas, precisely Baba Labria Dedebu of Blessed Mori, that he should not come to court to append that matter. And the man dropped the file that he did not want anybody to assassinate him. The central judge sent for me, and he said, Biola, Ojo will handle the matter. Central judge will look at me, he will handle it. I want to court, I handle the matter. That thing endeared me
to him,
to Central Jimabi. And since then, we've been maintaining that relationship. And today, with Central Roger.
Wow.
Believe me, I'm very close to Central Roger. There's nothing I want for him that he cannot do for me.
So it means that the kind of picture we see from outside
is
not the kind of picture that...
No, it is not. It is not.
It's an entirely different ballgame amongst these politicians.
It is not.
Wow. Now, okay, I will still stick with you a bit. I think we have about roughly 12 minutes to go on the program, but let's talk about some other issues. And I'm going to take you up on an issue pertaining to pensioners.
Yes.
Recently, when they held their National Pensioners Day, they called for a Ministry of Pension and Senior Citizens Affairs. I had a lawyer sometime here, and he said that for them to achieve this, it has to have an act, or they needed an act of parliament to make it happen.
They don't need it.
And I asked him, we've seen presidents create ministries on their own without necessarily going through the National Assembly. So how come you are now saying we need an act of parliament?
Respect to that lawyer.
So there are two questions here.
Yes.
Are you in support as an individual now of pensioners, Ministry of Pensioners, or Ministry of Pension and Citizens Affairs to take care of pensioners? And then you have already answered the second one.
The second one,
act of parliament.
They don't need it. Governor has the right to create any ministry by virtue of his executive position.
They are even talking at the national level now.
No, governor at the state level,
okay.
president at the national level. But that's what you call executive order. They don't need it. Then secondly, the Ministry of let's have strong institutions and not strong personality. That's what we need.
Okay.
And that's what we lack in this country. And let me say this. The pension system we are operating in most of the states is outdated. It's outdated. Look, have you ever seen anybody working in the private sector having problem to collect his gratuities or his pension? It is contributory pension fund they are now using. And which Ajimabi did for the state, and that law was enacted and it was passed by the parliament. We have many of them, what they call them now, these pension service providers, all over that who manage such things. And when you retire immediately today, you get your gratuity. That same day you are retiring, or at most maybe a week after, and you collect your pension up to the certain period with that law must have provided for. We should do it. Look, let Governor Makinde continue to pay this pension. It is not sustainable. It is outdated.
Let me land. Okay.
Go to the Senate climbs.
Yes.
In advanced democracy, they don't operate the time of pension system we are operating here. This time of pension system we are operating here is too pedestrian. It's like with this of wages we talk about, where no matter your qualification, once I'm on level 7, you are level 7, one is salary.
And that's what generating the problem we have in France now, where the government wants to, collapse everything into a single pension system.
I'm not a Marxist.
Okay.
I believe in free enterprise. Free enterprise. Although government can now try to moderate it,
okay,
so that they will be balanced, because it will be to us considering our known peculiar system here. It should be by your wage should be determined by level of demand supply.
Okay.
Look, I was in the ministry. We have some workers that are even untrainable, and that's it. Yeah.
Let's hear from the ambassador now. Are you in support of a ministry for pensioners affairs?
Like you said, anybody can create that. I really don't know whether you need a ministry to be able to achieve what correct application of laws would do. Yeah, you talk of a senior citizens ministry. In other countries where even senior citizens are treated with dignity, where if you are above 60, if you go to a bus or a train service, you won't have to pay and things like that. I don't believe you need a ministry to do that. It's just an act that will be implemented, that will be operated. I have seen ministries created that have nothing to do. Absolutely
nothing.
You create a ministry of pension. Are they going to be the one to pay the pension? No. You get your pension through your former employer. If it's government, yes. If it's local government, yes. If it's teaching service, yes. Do you now collapse all of them under that ministry? Or is that ministry that will make sure that as a senior citizen, if I get to the bank, they make me to sit down, they bring me a cup of tea? Is that ministry that will implement that?
It's all right. So we have to move on because of our time. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. Maybe we can just take one more call before we round up the program today. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Adeyemo again.
Okay.
I thank our Baba, former Attorney General of Abia. Chief Ajimobi was honored because he did well briefly to the pensioners, and that is why he was honored at that particular time. But after he had been honored, he was the chairman for the JAC, Joint Allocation Committee to the local government. He prevented them from deducting enough money to pay the pensioners from primary school teachers for almost 8 years. And therefore, the honor given to him on that day, pensioners from primary school contributed to it. We wanted to ask the chairman to come to withdraw it because we were less taken care of. And that is why, but because of we are elderly, people persuaded us to let it be.
All right.
And that
Thank
is
you.
why we
So,
Thank you.
so
Thank
it
you.
might be good,
Because
my
of our
Baba,
time, yes.
for us not to honor briefly too. So let us wait for a longer period
Yes.
before we begin to honor, so that we don't come back and say we honored briefly.
And then we now dishonor. All right, we have to move on. Let me have your take. You have represented Nigeria outside the country. I like to know, which a lot of Nigerians too have like to know, the general impression about Nigeria in those countries. Are we actually painted black outside this country, from your experience and your interactions?
From my experience, we have our own problems. You know, these foreign people, they read Nigerian newspapers. They use it to assess the quality or otherwise of Nigeria. The embassies here, I mean, they rely on Nigerian newspaper to write their diplomatic reports home. But generally, they respect us. I was in Philippines. We cannot be rated as a big country, but I know by the time they talk to the American ambassador, British, France, probably Canada and so on, they look for me. When they have problem with militant, they look for me. I mean, there are things I was singled out. If there was an occasion I wasn't president, the president will even know. He will ask, why is he used to call me Father Christmas. Say, why
Is it the current, this present president?
No.
The former one.
Benigno Aquino.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that in international politics, there are things that matter. They look at your size, they look at your population, they look at your economy. And we had a combination of these three. We had about 180 growing to 200 million people. We had 1 million square kilometers acreage. And at that time, we had the largest economy in Africa of 420 billion US dollar, the highest GDP. So they respected us. But the way we talk about our own country, you know, sometimes when I was abroad, I was in Manila, and I read all newspapers online, you would think that Nigeria is burning. And I will call home, I'll call my friend, and I found that nothing is burning. There is a disconnect between the reportage and the actuality. The kind of thing we say about ourselves, I mean, if you read newspapers, sometimes you think you cannot get out of your house without being kidnapped, or that you cannot get out of your house without being killed.
Right.
So they generally they respect us. I mean, yes, there are a few areas, and I used to make fun. I draw this from what President Obasanjo used to say. They used to talk about 419, and I used to ask them, when somebody writes you from Nigeria, you say your grandfather worked in Nigeria, there is so much he didn't collect. It is available in the Central Bank of Nigeria. Send me your account number so that I can we can work together so that this money can be transferred. And you know your grandfather had never left Philippines. So why will you send it?
Why will you send it? Okay. Now, because of our time, let me ask the former Attorney General his impression about the current border closure in the country. Is it really to the benefit of Nigerians, like some people have, you know, alluded to one way or the other?
You see, at the level of the presidency, the security report that they have, we don't have it. We don't have it. And you know, federal government also has its economic team. So they must have taken all those things into consideration before that policy was introduced. And again, don't let us get fat mixed up. They only prohibited goods that have been prohibited from being taken in. Goods that are not within the prohibition list can still come in, and they are still today movement of goods and persons on our borders. So people are
mixing things up.
They are just making fuse about nothing.
So you think it's a good development?
It is a good
now,
development.
nicely, before you leave, very briefly, I'd like you to touch on the local government's issue between Governor Seyi Makinde and Algon. Very briefly.
Let's call a spade a spade, and not a simple farm instrument. The government of Governor Seyi Makinde has acted illegally. We talk about rule of law the other time. We talk about due process. It's very unfortunate. that should not exist in the democracy. It is clearly illegal and very unfortunate.
All right. Our father, let's talk journalism a bit. You are known to be a father of journalism in Nigeria. What's your, very briefly, to your assessment of the profession in Nigeria and your advice to journalists?
My advice is that we need to do a little bit more. We need to equip ourselves more with facts. I know it's difficult these days because stations themselves or media houses themselves don't have enough wherewithal to train people to even provide the facility. Malana Council here talked about investigative journalism, which nobody does this day because it's a very expensive business.
Intensive.
Because it can take you months. Spending money trying to get at the fact, but we need all of that. And then we need to remember that our primary role is agenda setting. Are we setting the right agenda? When we start talking about, states are not paying, do they have the right level of income? The states, 36 of them have only 26% of the revenue of this country. 774 local governments, including all these SEDAs, have 24% of the revenue. Federal government has 53%. Are we running a true federation? We should be asking the right question. We should be happy to set the right agenda so that we can have a better country in terms of governance, in terms of implementing decisions, in terms of setting the right decision. That's my view.
All right. Unfortunately, we won't be able to continue much as we would love to, given the quality of guests that we have on the program today. But I'd like to say a very big thank you to Asiwaju Ujo Adebayo, who is a former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Oyo State, the managing partner Adebayo and Badamosi Legal Practitioners Ibadan, and of course a member of the National Executive Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association. You are very much welcome. Thank you for
Thanks for having me. And let me say that I consider it a great privilege and honor to sit and talk Baba.
Wow. All right.
I'm fulfilled.
Let me also say thank you to Baba himself, Dr. Yemi Farumbi, a former ambassador of Nigeria to the Philippines, and of course a veteran broadcaster. When I told somebody I was going to be hosting him on the program today, he said, remember, you are hosting the father of... I told a senior colleague I'll be hosting. He said, remember, you are hosting the father of...
I'm your senior colleague. Honestly,
broadcasting.
I thank you for... I read a lot about Malina Lane Council. Yeah, I never met him.
Wow. You, all right. But we are done.
I am pleased that he had lived up to my expectations.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. I want to say a very big thank you to the producer of this program, Babatunde Tiami, and of course, my in-house producer, Yetunde Okay, for being there. My name is PIUS NSABE. Let's do this again sometime Saturday next week. God bless you. Do have yourself a lovely weekend. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And of course, most importantly, continue to be a good citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Have a nice day.
From the rising to the setting of the sun, here is the first labor radio in Africa. Pensioners 106.7 FM Agbarigo Nireke Ibadan. A station for the elderly, the youths, the teenagers, and in fact our children. It is a station for all. So come patronize us on Pensioners 106.7 FM Ibadan. All corporate organizations, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, government parastatals and commissions, artisans, private companies, market